Hey everyone, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Pod Guide, created to share the collective wisdom of everyday entrepreneurs who are bringing their visions to life, the ones in the arena. We've all read the same billionaire books, but what about the wisdom from the entrepreneur next door? The ones building, learning, failing forward, and figuring it out one step at a time. I'm your host, Britt Rodriguez, and every episode we're bringing you honest conversations, fresh insights, and lessons from entrepreneurs just like you. This is your place to learn, grow, and get inspired by your fellow business owners who are actually out there building businesses today, not just dreaming about them. So, let's get started.
Hey everyone, today Britt is joined by Roy Varner, also known as the Video Maestro. After 40 plus years in video production, Roy now helps entrepreneurs and professionals master how they show up on camera, because most people are losing opportunities before they even speak. We break down the biggest mistakes people make on video, how to instantly build trust and authority, and the simple shifts that can completely change how others perceive you. If you're on Zoom, creating content, or building a brand anywhere online, this one's for you. Let's begin.
Roy Varner, welcome to the podcast. I know about you, Roy, but please go ahead and tell everybody else. Tell us about yourself and about your business.
Well, I started into developing learning systems and producing and directing video. I did that for a bunch of major corporations for 4 decades. And then I became a coach online because I saw there was so much need, so many people online that did not know how to look and attract people on camera. That, in fact, 95% of the people out there don't have a really good first impression and eventually lose a lot of their prospects because they just don't look and sound like the pro that the people were coming to find. Okay. So it's a huge problem on the internet. And so I've dedicated myself to that because nobody else seems to be doing it. And so I created the Video Maestro program for on-camera impact. How do you get a good first impression? How do you get people to accept your authority quickly as the go-to expert in your field, which you may not be, but they will accept you if you look and sound like one? And then how do you get their trust, the emotional part of decision making that people do? How do you get connected emotionally to these people so that they trust you, that you really have their best interests at heart, you know what you're doing, you've done this before, and they're going to get the outcome they're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can imagine right now with, especially since COVID, that this has probably taken off and the need for this has taken off even more than we would have ever expected. Have you seen post COVID, demand go so much higher because everybody's having to have Zoom conversations and like business conversations that used to be in person through video. And it's a whole different way to present yourself.
It is, and it's really a whole worldwide global change that people have gone to their phones, to Zoom, to Facebook, to TikTok, whatever. And yet there's one basic problem that's behind all of this is that they don't go there and think that they need to look better, sound better, and make a better impression. They think that what they're doing is just fine. You know, when their chin is on the bottom of the picture and there's a bunch of headroom up here, or they're in their bedroom, or they're being real sloppy, or whatever they're doing, they don't think that there's anything wrong with that. That's just them being them. Problem is, it's a major turnoff for your prospects. When your prospects are looking for somebody smart, they don't want a doofus. They don't want somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. They don't want somebody that looks amateurish on video because that to them says, this is not the pro I'm looking for. The pro gets his or her act together, right? But people are not aware of that. That's the irony of the situation, that 95% of them need real help on camera to quit chasing away most of their prospects and not converting them to customers, and yet they're not aware of that. So the awareness is the challenge for me out there, is to grab people that know they need help or help them understand that the average person is doing 24 things on camera that's chasing people away. I mentioned one with this, and then
Yeah.
maybe there's the bright light behind them and you can't see their face,
Mm.
or they're way back from the camera and you can't see their eyes very well, et cetera, et cetera. There's just a lot of distractions. I call them video voodoos because they curse your impact and conversion of people and they haunt your reputation.
Mm.
So you need to clear the minefield out. You got to get rid of all these distractions and then do the 5 or so things that really set you apart and will connect you with people and let them put their guard down emotionally, like you, know you, and go with you.
Mm. I love that. And sales is very visual, and people are truly chasing prospects away just by some of the visual things that they are doing. You mentioned a few of those, but what are the biggest mistakes that you see people using?
Well, let me precede that with this breakdown. It was an Air Force study many years ago that said that if you can combine the words with the image, you can get 22 times more impact on people,
Mm, wow.
22 times more memory of you, and so forth. And it breaks down this way: 10% of your ability to communicate and connect emotionally with people is words. You put the words out there, but only 10%, because it's up to them to figure out what you mean by those words, how did you
Mhm.
think, etc. 38% is tone of voice. So if they can hear you say those words, that's powerful.
Mm,
Now they can hear tone. Now they can make up their mind. Is this a good person? Is this somebody I like? How do I feel about the way this person relates, etc. But what you brought up was 52%
mm,
is the visual. And it's mostly body language and facial expressions and eye contact. The eyes really are the window to the soul. And if we can't see the person's eyes or we don't like what their eyes are doing, maybe their eyes are not looking at us. I know a guy that he just can't look at the camera.
mhm,
He's a great sales trainer, but he's always kind of doing this and looking at this, and you can't connect emotionally with them, personally with them. People decide with their emotions, and the visual is huge in creating the emotional contact. It's what it's all about. It's what we look for. We make judgments. Now, we don't always know exactly what we're looking at, but we know something's off. We know we're not connecting visually with this person, or we are connecting visually. And even if I don't know them, I like them. I like what they say. I like how they do things, right? I like their enthusiasm. So I relate to this person. And we're not, for everybody, your clients are a very teeny number of people out there, right?
right.
And you've got to get exposure to a lot of people to reach the teeny number that you're going to need. And the visual is so important. And a lot of people today are not going on camera at all in their marketing, which is a huge mistake because you can't, we don't buy impersonal things. We buy stuff that we emotionally connect to, and that's through people. And so that's a huge part of it. And that's why I'm focusing on this, is that that's where most people make the problems for themselves, is that they don't come across visually well.
Yeah, exactly. You made me think of one when you were talking about eye contact, because so I have a monitor right here, Roy, which you can't see, obviously, but I have often been in conversations with people and they are looking directly at the monitor. And I'm like, your camera's here.
Yeah,
Monitor there. And so they are having 90% of the conversation looking that way. And it's so
yeah.
distracting like to me. And I do it sometimes like if I'm referencing something and I'll be like, "Hey, sorry, I'm looking at my monitor real quick," and like I'll tell them something. But yeah, is that something you've seen people do too, is looking away purposefully at their monitors as well?
Well, it may not be purposely for some people. They just kind of they want to look at the face of the person they're talking to.
Mm,
The problem is the other person then doesn't get the eye contact.
right.
You're not really connecting with them. You're connecting with their image off to the side somewhere. So it's a discipline. You just have to train yourself to, put a picture up here by the monitor, where the lens is, of somebody you like. A
Mm,
nice, bright, smiley picture of somebody like you. You have a nice smile.
thank you.
So you should all put Brett right up there. And then you've got someone to look at and think about, and you're thinking about people. You're
Mm,
thinking about individuals. You're not talking to a big crowd of people.
right.
You're honing in on one individual and really trying to make a connection with that person. You're listening to them, you're responding, you're looking at them, you're engaged. That's a huge difference out there on camera.
Yeah. And I think so you had mentioned that you have 5 key elements of a strong on-camera presence. Can you kinda walk us through some of those key
Sure.
elements?
Sure. First, before those, we clear out the distractions,
Yeah.
the voodoo,
The
right?
Voodoos. Yes, I love
And
that name for
we
those.
know you don't come in your pajamas, you don't go from your bedroom. You know, I can tell you stories of people that have walked through the screen behind someone in their bedroom naked on live on camera, right? I mean, but we don't want someone in their bedroom. We want someone in an environment that's better. So we identify the common things and make sure people are now consciously aware. I'm not going to do any of those things. So now that's about 50% of the job. If you quit doing those things, you're back to kind of a normal person. Now let's make you look and sound on camera. And here it is. First is your camera positioning. Very critical. I'll get back to it. I'll go through the 5 and I'll come back and give you a little brief on each one.
Great.
So where and how you use your camera is important. We're used to seeing people on the news being interviewed and so forth. That's professional camera work. So we're going to do that. Second one is lighting. Lighting is so critical because we need to make your skin of your face natural looking with other things also, but lighting is critical to get it natural shadows and so forth, and light your eyes up. And in the process, we do some other things. I'll mention a couple of them. Then the next one is sound. Sound is important. It's not usually a killer if they can hear and understand you, but a lot of times people are in a big bowl in a room and it's so like they're in a big metal vat of some kind, and it's just you have to strain to listen to them,
Mm,
and people get tired of that and they move on, right?
yeah.
The next one is background, which is critical because background is one of the major distractors. So we don't want it to take away from you. We want it to draw attention to your face and your eyes and create a beautiful brand feel for you. Again,
Mm,
emotional. And then the last one is how you dress, do your hair and your glasses and your makeup and your earrings and all that stuff. And that is something that takes some time, but it has so many great, wonderful things. So let me give you just a quick walkthrough of each one. Camera position. Okay. Number one, you want to have your eyes in the camera lens at the same level
mm. Eyes in
because
the
it's
camera.
not shooting down at you. It's not shooting up your nose. Can't tell you how many people shoot up their nose and how fun that isn't. Okay. So the second thing is distance. Okay. And the distance is usually on a laptop or, you know, camcorder. It's usually an arm's length away. So you put your hand out here, and if you touch the screen, you're about there, right? Now that's because in the Western culture, especially, we don't like to be up real close to people. If
Mm,
someone fills the screen with their face, yuck, and you back off. It makes you uncomfortable, right?
mm.
Now the Saudis and some other cultures, they don't mind nose to nose, but in our culture, you don't want that face up too close. You don't want to see the pores, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want to be too far back either, because if they're too far back or leaning back, it gives you the feeling that they're not interested in you. They're disconnecting from you. They're backing away emotionally. So we get this nice balance with this arm distance. You're at a good distance. I'm at the right distance. And it looks and feels like I'm across the table talking to you. You're across the table talking to me.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
subliminally, it has a major impact on people.
Mm.
So we want to get the eyes about a third of the way down from the top of the screen. And now I've given you too much information.
Oh, I
Now,
love that. I'm like, "Okay, 1/3, 2
yeah, because my eyes are about a third of the way. When you have a hat on, you want to make sure you have a little headroom up here,
Right.
but your eyes are above center. Okay, that's the important thing. All right, now let's go to lighting. Now, lighting doesn't require the local little lamp that you have on the table, or open the windows and let all the light come in, or the ring lights. The ring lights have problems. They put a ring in your eye, and they're kind of omnidirectional. They don't are directional. What you need is a key light and a fill light. You need a light to give you basic light. It casts a little shadow, and the fill light softens that shadow.
Mm.
Now you look three-dimensional. Now you look like a real person sitting in a room. Okay.
Mm.
And then we adjust the color of the light temperature. That's why these LED lights are so good. You can adjust the color so that you get a nice color of your skin tone. You can adjust the brightness so you take away the shine, but you give enough light to, let them see your eyes. So if they can see your eyes, you're in good shape. Now let's go to sound. The main thing in sound is that you want to get a decent microphone of some kind. The simplest is just a wired lavalier for about $15 or $20 from Amazon, and you clip it up near your throat, clip it up to the top of your clothes. And people are used to that. They don't worry about it. So you can get a wireless, and there are other options too. Some people want a nice, like a AT 2020 or something, a nice big microphone sticking over the monitor and pointing to their face so they get that nice, rich baritone thing. But that's not necessary. Just a lavalier is fine. The typical sound from a laptop is not sufficient.
Mm.
You want to either get a camcorder with good sound, or you want to put a lavalier in here. Plug it in, you got nice sound. Sounds like you're across the table. Again,
Yeah.
it's just natural, right? Now let's go to the background, and I could spend a day on backgrounds. But
Oh,
the
I bet
main
you've
thing
seen some things out
is
there.
that you want to avoid distractions that make people look to the background and read your certificate, or look at that piece of art, or hey, I saw a bear like that when I was in Blue Ridge last year.
Mm.
What's the distractions back there keep them from paying attention to you and what you're saying. And when they break out of the flow of what you're saying to them, you've lost it.
Mm.
You have to go back and reconnect. So we don't want background distractions. So at the least, we want a neutral background of some kind. If you have a little distraction like this earth behind me, you talk about it at first, and then it's nothing, right?
Mhm.
Then everybody's listening to you. They're into what you're doing. So we want to eliminate the distraction, but we also have a tremendous opportunity to create a brand, create an emotional scene. People are emotional about colors.
Mm.
I did a makeover for one lady, and we used chocolate brown and teal.
Mm.
And we created a great looking background, and every picture we put behind her had chocolate and teal. And she got so many comments about how that felt. And the reason is it wasn't a logical thing to do, it was an emotional thing.
Mm.
That scene was so warm and inviting, and it made her face look great. It made her hair look great. And she just, you know, after then, it was off to the races, right? We love this woman. Now we know, like, and trust this woman. But it was just an emotional connection. So the background can become a powerful part of your brand, and an emotional connection. And your logo can build in with that background and identify you. Now you've got a home-based brand. Every time somebody sees you, you look that way, and it's consistent. And that goes to the issue that most people are talking to only 20% of their qualified prospects, because those are the people that'll quickly make a decision. Oh yeah, you look good. All right, I'll sign up, right? A few $100, whatever. The other 80% are people who want to see you consistently in that good, attractive, good feeling brand every time they see you. If they see an ad, if they go to your website, if they get whatever contact you make with these people that they see of you, it takes 5 to 6 contacts like that that are consistent and feel good before people are willing to come and sign up for you.
Mm.
And those 80% are not just slow, they are long-time clients. They will stick with you. The others, another shiny object comes, they're off and gone. You lose them. So most people aren't even marketing to their very best people, the ones that want them and will stick with it. So that's what happens when you create a look, a background, a look, and how you dress. And on how you dress, most people wear white or black, not good.
Hmm.
Video doesn't do well with those. Bright colors, that's distracting. So what we try to do is we create a second persona for you. A lot of people wear bright colors and they put on these big glasses and they have hats and they whatever it is, okay, rings, whatever. That's their personal life, and that's great. But if you want to draw people to you as a guru, as the expert in your field, as the person that really understands you and knows how to get you the solution, you have to look like that. You have to have an on-camera look and feel and brand.
Hmm.
So have fun with all your stuff in your life, but when you get on camera, look like the expert. And that means generally mid-tone colors and things that work with the background and don't have flowers or stripes, something simple, again, so that the best thing in the scene for them to look at is your face and your eyes are very visible there. Same story, but it's that combination of the background and how you look can have a huge impact on having people just accept you like that. And if you look like the pro, they will accept you as the pro.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. It's funny you bring up the background. So, I when I was setting mine up, it was interesting because my partner at one point goes, "Oh, well, do you wanna do some art back there?" And I was like, "No, because that would be too distracting." Like, I would just be staring at the person's art. So you're exactly right, like, the background I mean, everything you've said is so important, and I've already even gotten some tips I can do too. And I think it's, like, really helpful for people that are having to get on and do either just Zoom calls with prospective clients, or if you're filming podcasts, if you're filming anything, TikToks or, whatever content you've got out there. Um, these tips are really things that people can use and immediately increase the quality of their content.
This episode is sponsored by our guest Roy Varner. If you're on camera at all, Zoom calls, content, or sales meetings, you could be turning people away without realizing it. Roy helps you fix that. Through his Video Maestro program, he shows you exactly how to look and sound like the expert your audience is searching for, so you build trust faster and convert more clients. If you want to level up your presence, go to royvarner.com and book a free 20-minute session today.
You help a lot of people finally get this right. A lot of people are extremely nervous. So I've got two questions for you, a two-part question. So a lot of entrepreneurs are too scared to even get on camera. It's like they know they need to, and in this day and age, they really understand you can't hide from it for too long, but they still might just be like, "I don't need to go on camera. I don't need to go on camera." So what do you say to that entrepreneur who's still very scared and hesitant to get on camera? And then can you also tell everyone about the lady you helped? You had a client who was extremely nervous and then is now a pretty prolific person on camera. So, can you talk about those two things for me?
Well, when I first started coaching online, I was teaching people confidence, or at least I thought I was. And the thing is that confidence is a decision based on your experience and your safe zone. By that, I mean the reason people can't get from here to where they want to be on their own. There's no such thing as self-learning. I promise you. You can memorize facts and terms and things like that, but what rules your decisions? This. And so in learning system, this is a cognitive learning objective. In other words, I need to memorize your name, learn the process of your business, all the other things like that. Read a book, memorize stuff, etc. But if that could get you to wealth and heaven, we all could just read a book and life would be over. It'd be simple, right? We can't do it because we have a set of assumptions, limiting assumptions that we have developed over time. Our our parents or relatives told us we'd never amount to anything. We're no good at writing. You can't do this and that, whatever. And we've accepted all these limited assumptions in here. And they are powerful and they are subconscious. They're not something an average person could sit down and just say, well, what are my limited assumptions? But they are assumptions that create your reality and your opportunities or lack thereof. So you've got to understand what are the things that are limiting you and what damage are they doing to your life and your goals. Do you like that? Do you like the results of this, or would you rather have a better life and more money and different things like that, right? And they're not just assumptions, but the psyche creates coping habits, things that you do immediately and without even thinking about that protect you from trauma and keep you inside your safe zone. So part of what we do in helping people, this is a long story, part of what we do in helping people overcome their fear and gain confidence on camera is we take them through the 5 steps, and as they go, they say, wow, that's better. Whoa, I look pretty good at this, you know? Wow, I love that color. It's same as my eyes or whatever. I mean, I've had clients cry
Mm.
when we finally got them right and took a picture of it, and they sat there and looked at it and they said, I just can't believe I look so good.
Oh,
And it's an emotional thing,
yeah.
because they've never been able to do that on their own. It's really not rocket science, but it is science. You've got to do the right things to bring out the best in you. It's not that we all want to be beautiful and have people love us for how we look. We eliminate the distractions and then they focus on us as the expert that's going to solve their problem, because why are they there? What's in it for me?
Right.
How am I going to get my solution? So they don't need to marry you, but they need to respect you and accept you as someone who's going to give them that answer. So back to the teaching confidence, you can't talk someone into being confident because they have these limited instructions. And the only way to get them out of it is to be a mentor and take them step by step by step by step. And every little step is a win. Every little step boosts their confidence. Every little step widens their security zone, right? Their comfort zone. So they're willing to take, okay, I'll try that. Okay, well, that worked. So, okay, I'll try that. And it's a mentoring process. It's taking away the grasp of those limited assumptions and coping habits and saying, yes, there's something much, much better. I'd rather do that. And they embrace it in little steps. And all of a sudden, they're not in trouble on camera ever more. I mean, it's like an amazing confirmation of their goodness because everybody's afraid to get on and look stupid.
Mm.
That's why people don't get on camera. They're going to get on and they're going to look stupid or sound stupid. People are going to think they're stupid. Okay. Now they don't look stupid. They look good. They sound good. They've got environment. They have a professional thing. They get the first impression. They get the accepting your authority. They get the trust. And it's thrilling because people are accepting them for who they are and the good that they are. And it just naturally does it. So that's why I don't teach confidence building, because it happens when you go through this process. And the example, I'll give it very quickly. This lady was a coach of mine, and when she went on Zoom or any communication, she put her picture. Well, it was an old picture. It was a nice, nice hair and thin and smiling and all that stuff. But she's much bigger than that now. Okay. So she quit going on camera for years. And her partner was about to kick her out of the business. And I finally, after many tries, convinced her, let me have a session with you. Let me work with you. And she finally said, well, okay, because I'm going to lose my job if I don't do it. And so we went through it, and I think it was the second session that it dawned on her how good she was in the business and how much people needed her. And it didn't matter what she looked like.
Mm.
It mattered that she could give them solutions, right?
Right.
And so she tried it, and we got her in a nice blue color. We got a nice background behind her. Her glasses were big and thick. She couldn't see very well, so we got rid of those and we went to a specialty glass company that sent her like I think it was $28. Sent her a pair of glasses she could read the screen with and non-glare, completely non-glare, and the frame was kind of a disappear frame. So all of a sudden, we could see her eyes for the first time in years.
Wow.
She could see her eyes, and everybody else could see her eyes, and she got so excited that her partner had to tell her to quit doing videos. She was just popping them out, popping them out, popping them out. And, you know, she used to have real red tone and pink tone skin. We made her skin natural. Just all the 5 steps that we talked about. We got rid of all the distractions and she got her confidence and she is making money with it. So
That's amazing.
that's what happens. The transformation is amazing.
I love that story. I love how she was, like, not doing it for years, and then she started doing so many. It was like a, "Hey, wait, okay, you don't have to do that many." I just love that. That's the kind of transformation you want for
I've
people.
watched some of her shows and there's just 100% confidence.
Great.
She is a very knowledgeable person, but she couldn't share the knowledge with people and let them connect emotionally with it.
Mm,
She could only share it verbally, which remember, it's 48% is all you get verbally, right?
yeah,
But when we got her online, she realized that nobody was complaining about how she looked. They connected with her. Now she's their favorite guru, right?
I love that. I think that's
Just what it
amazing.
said.
And, so, I mean, I think we already know the answer to this question because of the story you just told, but, so you're building out your business here, you're helping clients all the time. What has, for you, been the most rewarding part so far?
Well, I think it's with each person to see them get it.
Yeah,
They finally get it and they're not afraid anymore. They feel good about themselves. They focus on the outcome that they want to give this person. They focus on loving this person enough that they put everything aside. I'm going to focus on you and I'm going to stay with you and make this happen. And people just connect with them like crazy. So they make friends, they make money, you know.
that's amazing. And that, I mean, that must feel so good. Like, especially with, again, that woman, and I'm sure there's been so many that you've helped, like someone going from just no confidence whatsoever, like pure fear to get on camera to turning into just like someone who loves it and is then, yeah, doing better in their role, doing better in sales, doing better with all their clients. Like that's incredible. And having a direct effect on that for them is life changing. And so that I can see how that's the most rewarding part. But what about the challenges? Because this is, a podcast we love to just teach entrepreneurs everything and share all the ups and downs. So what's been difficult about building your business? Because it's
Yeah.
different. You were working in film and stuff for a long time, and now you're doing the coaching part, which is a whole new ball game. What have been some of the challenges you've come across?
I think 2 of them. One I mentioned earlier that most people are not aware of how they're chasing people off.
Mm,
They think that their way is fine, or they just won't get on camera because, the fears. Um, I think those are huge because when I put things out, people look at them and say, well, that would be nice, but my business isn't doing well. And I need to get a funnel or I need to get, this. I need to go. They follow all the shiny object training programs, spend tens, tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars and years, and they're no better off. And that's a sad thing on the internet because 97% of the programs out there don't change you because they are a core dump of information.
right.
And then they send you home to do the work. And it doesn't work, you can't fix yourself. So the information industry is broken out there. And the handful of people that really care enough to fix somebody, well, they have something valuable to have, but everybody else is so burned out by all the money they spend on all these other things, it's hard to get them connected. I think that's a huge thing. Number 2 is you get individuals who have, well, everybody's got an ego, right? And sometimes it keeps you competitive and going, and sometimes it messes things up. So I could tell you many stories of people that I put through the program, and I mean, the before and after pictures would shock you what they were doing before
Mm.
and what they look like after. And yet they let their husband or, you know, some relative or some friend say, "Oh, I think the lighting ought to be like this. You got too much light on you. Let's do this." And then by the time they get through it, they ruined everything that they learned and gained.
Oh.
And so they kind of regress back to their ways. That's a hard thing with individuals that I only have about 3 or 4 sessions with,
Mm.
right? I can keep them in rein and keep them looking good, but then they listen to everybody else and they get their doubts, come back in, and they just lose the progress. That's why I'm teaching mostly teams now, because the teams are sent there by their boss who says, I'm holding you accountable for changes, not just in how you look, but changes in the business. I want you to sell more. I want you to retain more customers. I want you to do whatever, right? And so teams will show up and they will do it and they will tend to hold on to it because they had to.
Mm.
So most of the people that really benefit are someone who has someone above them that's holding them accountable that says, I want you to do this one thing better and get better results. And this is something I'm giving you to get there.
Yeah.
And so that works better. But those are just generalities.
Yeah. That is, so I'm, was an educator for 10 years. It can be so frustrating to have people you're working with and they grow and grow and grow and then they just flop back for whatever reason and you're like, "Oh, come on." But so that I can see that that would be really frustrating too. But thank you for the honest, highs and lows of it because it just happened. It's so that's integral to every single business. And so you touched on sales a little bit and like the type of customers that you're working with. So you pivoted a little now. You're working with teams. One of the things I love to ask the entrepreneurs that I interview is Mark Cuban famously said, "Sales cures all." So I love to ask what's working in your sales, what's working with your client acquisition. How are you finding the teams? What can you share to the entrepreneurs out there who are they're chasing off the people, right? They have prospects, but they're losing them or whatever. What's working for you, Roy, for your business and finding your clients right now?
Now, I think is to focus on LinkedIn
Mm.
as business people
Nice.
rather than just any individual entrepreneurs that are trying to make a living. 93%, according to Grant Cardone, the big guru, 93% of the people trying to make a living on the internet make less than 400 a month.
Mm,
That's not a living,
no.
right? It's not working for them. It's not happening. And I think it's, for me, the very important thing is to say, where does my ideal customer live on the internet? And for me, it's LinkedIn,
Mm,
because there are a lot of people that are used to being in a job, working for a company, and they either need help there to do better, or they're leaving and they want to become coaches or they want to, build the business. So they're people that recognize they need help. Whereas the general Facebook public, which some of these people are there, but they're not there in the same mental mode. So I've gone to LinkedIn and then I'm building a YouTube channel that's a little different, that's for aimed at teams. The teams that I apply to are mainly sales teams or retention teams, which can be the same thing, because you can sell them and then lose them because
mm.
you don't follow up, right? So that's the secret to combine those two in that type of team. And
Yeah.
another team is fiduciary investment advisors who are there for you. They legally have to look after your best interests. They can't sell you something they're not sure of, that sort of thing. Uh, Podcasters, interesting enough, podcasters who use video like you do, which is very smart. You're keeping that 52% alive, right?
Right. Mhm.
But some of the people that you're going to be interviewing, they just don't have it online, right? For whatever reason. Sometimes confidence, but most of the time they just don't look good. All the factors that we just talked about, all those 5 factors are not kicking in for 'em. So they would be greatly helped to get a little bit of training on that before they interview for and become podcaster guests, right? Same thing with publishers of books, these independent publishers, right? They have a lot of authors that come and pay them $10,000, $15,000 to publish their book. And yet when they go on video, they don't attract people. They don't create a following. They don't have that emotional connection because they're just kind of floundering. And it's not that all writers are not silver-tongued devils. It's just that a lot of people just don't do themselves well on camera. So you have to have at least some kind of training for them before you publish a book so that when they go get interviewed, they go to bookstores or they go on the radio or internet for interviews, they can come across well. They can connect with people. They can be their best
Mm.
and let people understand their unique interest. So it's places like that that I think are most receptive and really, really need the help
Yeah.
because it not only affects them on a podcast, it also affects your reputation. Because if you bring people on that just don't connect at all with people, then that hurts your business. But if you help them with the 5 steps, and they don't have to be wonderful. My business is not perfection, it's good enough.
Yeah.
It's eliminate the distractions and be good enough for people to get interested in you and your message and what you have to offer, right?
Yeah.
So that's the key that that drives everything that I do in sales. And it's all personal. It's all one to one. Let's get on Zoom and talk about your problem. And if I can't help you, I'll give you from my experience where to go to get the help for that. If it's something I can help you do, I'll share what I've got. And if it rings bells, let's work together. I think it's you've got to be real in marketing today. You cannot be a guru. You cannot ignore people. You can't just cordon up information. You have to be a mentor and you have to engage and you have to really care to get them their solution and celebrate it when they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so wonderful. I was just thinking of um, an entrepreneur who's really wanting to try or, really trying to get out there or like you said, even the employee who really wants to do it right, but they might just be so unsure. And now having someone like you who can hop on with them and, they don't have to get their mom or, best friend or whatever to look like you can test with them because those people might be telling them, "Oh yeah, you're fine," even though 20 distractions going on, like you said. I love that they have Roy to contact and they can go to you and say, "Hey, I've got a really big presentation coming up," or "I have a really big interview that we're recording. Can you help me? I want to go in." And like having a professional. I think that's the difference is having a professional like you versus, just your friend or colleague or whatever. Having someone like you who can say, "Hey, we've got this right. Your lighting's right. Everything, make sure you wear this or do your hair this way or whatever." It just eliminates so many questions of, "Am I doing this right?" To, "Okay, I know I'm good. Like I've got it. The distractions are gone. I feel way more confident, and now all I have to do is just focus on the person I'm talking to."
Absolutely. And let me give people some advice that will help them immensely. If you can't have a Zoom session with an intelligent person who understands the program that they're offering and will take the time to talk to you about it, you're in the wrong spot.
Mm,
If you can't connect with somebody like that, you're just going into a big bureaucracy, a big automated system without the personal mentoring along the way, and you will not get your change.
yeah,
You will have to be in the top 3% of performers to benefit from a program like that. Everybody else doesn't.
yeah,
So I never sign people up until I've talked to them. I want to get on Zoom and look at what they're doing and say, "You look great to me," or "Wow, okay, let's get busy. But I want to know where they are because not everybody needs all 5 steps
mhm,
and not everybody chases away all the people. They just may not attract them.
right,
It's a two-way street. So find somebody that'll talk to you first and honestly look at you and say, "What do you need?" And you don't need video 101. You don't need video A to Z. You need just a handful of little spots, little gaps that are clogging your pipeline and keeping you from performing at your best and getting the people that relate to you and resonate with you emotionally and frequency, whatever you want to call it, you want to be able to attract those people.
Right.
And so there are just a few things that aren't working. Let's focus on them. Let's get you 80 to 90% of the benefit with 20% of the things that you want to pay attention to. So you got to find somebody that is in that coaching, real coaching. Real coaching is not automatic. It's not thousands of people. Real coaching, there has to be one-to-one
Hmm.
at the beginning and one-to-one at critical change places where you start to learn how to let go of those old assumptions and those old coping habits. And that requires human intervention, a coach that cares. So that's my advice.
Yeah.
Take the time to find a coach that cares and knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And is willing to go
Or
personal.
she.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Because,
she's.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's very personal. Like everyone's backgrounds are different. Everyone's faces are different. Their coloring is different. What works with them, what will highlight them, and versus like make them blend in. Like there are so many different things. So I think 100% the route to go is with someone who can work with you one on one to really get you set up properly. Because yeah, you can go on Google right now and read how to best set up for a podcast or how to best set up for a TikTok. It doesn't mean you've done it right at the end of the day. It doesn't mean
Well, you might pick up things, you might get a
yeah.
little better, but you haven't mastered it, and your
Right.
psyche knows you haven't mastered it, and you don't get the confidence that is part of what makes people succeed. You've got to have confidence, feel good about yourself, and get up there and get on camera and be yourself
Yeah.
within this mode that we've set up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting talking to you today because Roy, you just moved. And this can happen for a lot of people. So when you are very consistently on camera, so maybe you're traveling, maybe you just moved, you're stuck, there's all kinds of things that can throw you off at any given time that can make whatever you have set up so perfectly a moot point because you yeah, for whatever reason, things might be different where like your background might be different, your vocals might be different, your voice, your everything, right? So your look. And I love how you've been able to pivot here. So Roy, you've pivoted. If you are watching this podcast, which I highly recommend watching this one instead of just listening, it's very cool because so Roy has just moved. So he is in the process of getting his everything set back up in his new home. But it's awesome because he's pivoted here. He's using the color tones he's talking about. Tell us how that was for you and kind of some tips you have on if you have to kind of pivot a little bit from what you're used to and you still need to look good, right?
Well, I do that with people who travel, go to conventions. They have to do a video. They have to get
Yeah.
it on video and do stuff. So I teach them how to sit down in the middle of a lobby of a hotel and
Yes.
do the 5 things. Get rid of the distracting background, face a light source, get close to your camera so you have your little microphone on, frame yourself in the picture. Just all the things that we do. If you spend the time to help people actually embrace all the things that I teach, they embrace it and they choose it and they choose it over the other things. That's how they move from here to there. But it becomes a permanent setup in their mind, a simple structure that wherever they are, they can work those 5 steps and eliminate a lot of distractions and look pretty good, even if you have to have a light on your desk aimed at you because you don't have any other lights. You know how to do that. You know what you're supposed to be looking like.
Right.
So it becomes a permanent thing and it stays with them. And in their offices, when they have their setup the way it's supposed to be, we get it so standard and locked in that they just flip the lights on and they're ready with their professional brand. And they're confident about it because they know this setup works. Just flip it on and do it. There's no anxiety. There's no stress.
Yeah.
So when you get them right, when you take them mentored through a whole process, they adopt that new lifestyle, that new mindset, that new heart set. And that's what causes change. And that's what gets us the money. And that's what makes life simpler and better. So they just have to find competent coaching
Mm.
and get personal coaching to make anything work. Everything else, you're just throwing money out and wasting your time and delaying. you're thriving.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of coaching because it can just change, it can change you so much. Like, you can learn a lot for sure on your own and with other people. Like you said, you can try, but when you really want to really excel at something, having a coach is the way to go. You need that personal help. If someone Googled your company right now and landed on your website, would they lean in and want to learn more, or would they quietly say, yikes, and close the tab? Your website is your first impression, and it's either drawing clients in or losing deals right and left. Whether we like it or not, people do still judge books by their covers, and your clients are making decisions about your business before they ever even reach out. At my company, Archer Collaborative, we design high-end strategic websites for businesses whose founders are ready for their online presence to finally align with the quality and professionalism they bring to their clients every day. Our designs are not just pretty. We bring full custom layouts, clear positioning, intentional structure, and smart systems behind the scenes, so your site actually supports your growth. If your business is doing incredible work, but your website still looks like you built it at 11 p.m. 3 years ago, then it's time to let us help you. Visit archercollaborative.com today, and let's build something that is finally worthy of your business and its stellar reputation. So let's talk about your company a year from now. Where would you like to see your business, Roy?
Well, I'm doing my business, but I'm also writing books. I've published a book about the CIA's Hughes Global Explorer mission to raise the Russian submarine back in 1979. Was my first book.
So
Then I
cool.
wrote a whole bunch of books for corporations, all kinds of guides and books and training and different things like that. And now I'm in the middle of a Coast Guard rescue, award-winning Coast Guard rescue off Kodiak Island, Alaska. I'm trying to get that going, and then I've got some other things going. So my business, I'm very picky about who I work with because I don't want anybody that's not going to listen and change.
Right.
If they're really ready, if they really want what they want, and they're going to take a different way, because if it's not working now, why do you want to keep doing the same things? It's like Einstein said, that's nuts to keep doing the same old thing and expecting different results. You've got to be willing to change. So I'm narrowing a little bit on people that really, really want it and will do it and follow through, because then everybody wins. That's
Yeah.
satisfying. I don't want to just make money and spend hours and nothing happens in the world. That's
Yeah.
that's not my lifestyle. So, but at the same time, I have to be available because of what I've told you, that you have to have real coaching.
Right.
And so I'm keeping the numbers down so I can focus on people and give them what they really need.
Nice. And what a lovely spot to be in as an entrepreneur where you get to really start picking who you want to work with and the clients you want to keep. And I love that. I'm glad you're at that point. And it's very exciting that you got a new book coming, which kind of leads me actually a little bit into my next question. So I love asking everyone on here. Um, And you cannot answer this with your own book. But a question I love to ask is if you could recommend either a book or a podcast or a social profile to follow, what would you unfortunately we can't say this podcast and unfortunately we can't say any of the amazing books you've written. But what is a book, a podcast, or a social profile that you would recommend people to check out?
If you would read Atomic Habits,
Mm.
it sold 20 million copies. It has several things in it that affected my life and will get you understanding that you have to have a different way to think. You have to have a system. You have to chip away at it day after day after day. If you'll read that and really take it at heart and then find you a good coach that works those things, I mean, that's my recommendation. There are a lot of good books, but there are so many raw books of motivation, and they don't work
Mm.
if you're not personally involved with the individual as a student of a coach. They don't work because, again, you can't change yourself, but the way you think that got you here, and all of a sudden expect to be up there with people that think at a much higher level and have gone through a transformation and given up these old things and moved up there, right?
Yeah.
And everybody has an up there. Even the super rich people, they have a place they want to be that they can't get to on their own, so they hire coaches.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's that you just have to believe in it. And I think what's in the Atomic Habits, if you really pay attention to that and start working it daily, it it works. It helps. It helps prepare you to be in that change process
Mm.
that will free you from what's limiting you now to a level of absolute thriving
Mm.
that you can't even comprehend.
That's awesome. You are gosh, one of many people who have said that answer, and I have this book on my shelf back here, and I still haven't read it yet. And now after talking to you, I'm like, "Okay, that one has got to bump to the front." So I'm gonna after our podcast is over, I'm gonna grab it off the shelf and put it right beside me here so that it is my
Well,
next book
just
to
look
read.
for the 3 or 4 things that seem to be critical in the progress of anybody in setting up a system and doing the little things. One, imagine if you did one little new thing every day.
Mm,
That's 30 new things a month. That's 365 new learning and better habits and progress and steps that build your confidence in a year.
mm.
It's a great system.
That's
Very
awesome.
simple, but it's a great system to work. And again, you need a coach, but the coach is going to help you do that system. Every good coach and every successful person is doing that system.
Nice. Nice. I love that recommendation. So thank you because I will pull that off the shelf in a few minutes. But I got two more questions for you, Roy.
Okay.
So one is if you had one message for all the entrepreneurs and lovely people listening, if you have one message that you want them to take away from today's chat, what would that be?
If I could only do one message, I would say find you a really good coach who will do the mentoring and understands exactly what you need and focuses totally on those gaps
Mm,
and
yeah.
just ignore every other program and every other person that says, "Hey, I can do this, I can fix that." If they won't one-to-one mentor you, it won't work.
Yeah.
I
That's a
think
great
that's the
tip.
most important
Yeah.
message.
And I think everyone needs coaches in their life, whether
Yeah.
you're getting it's health that you're focused on, whatever your thing is, business, yeah, you're the way you're presenting yourself, which obviously, Roy, you're a master at helping people do that. I think, if you don't have a coach for something, you know, that's surprising to me at this point. Like, you should have an expert person working with you, helping you get to that next
Yeah,
step of whatever you're working on, and
absolutely.
coaches are so wonderful. So, thank you for giving your expertise and helping other people. So my last question for you is, Roy, you've probably brought up a lot of things and people listening might be like, "Wait, what's that microphone that he recommended?" Or, "Ooh, I'd love for him to take a look. I've got a big important, pitch that I'm doing. I'd love for Roy to see this and help me out." Or, "Hey, I'm starting a podcast. I'm starting, a YouTube series. I would love his take." So, if people want to reach out to you, Roy, and learn more, do maybe some of the shorter things, like you said, the shorter sessions, and then some who want to do the longer term work, how can people follow along? How can they reach out to you? How can they find you?
Well, they can go to royvarner.com, which is my website.
Which will be in the show notes, so I will add those in, so
They can go
royvarner.com.
there and
Mhm.
this just click contact, and I will have a little button there for them to schedule a session. I schedule 20-minute sessions with anybody that's interested in getting better and going further. They are no strings attached. I don't want to sell somebody on something that isn't exactly right for them. Like I said before, most of the people can have solutions of some kind with what they have or go somewhere else, and I'm happy to recommend other places and other people and things to do. But you have to get a checkup. You got to go, get a basic diagnosis of what's holding you back.
Yeah.
And once you're aware of what's holding you back, then you have intelligent choices to make about who can help you in those different areas and going forward. If you're not aware of what's really keeping you back, then you're not going to progress.
Mm.
And that's the part I think is, for me, I've done this for, like I said, 40 years in business and then almost 10 years on the internet since then. And when you see these things, you see human nature, you see patterns. And it's just like this. I can look at somebody, I can tell them exactly what they need. I know their level of confidence. I know what they need. And that's what you have to do. You got to get somebody to say, okay, here's your challenge. Here's what you got to get rid of to get there. And here's ways to do it.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And I love it. And as Roy has said here already, like he is, able to pick the clients he likes to work with. He's not going to tell you to go do something or to work with him because he is just trying, like you said, you're not just trying to sell something. You've got plenty of clients. But I love that you're still generous with your time and willing to hop on with some people and help guide them on, where they can go get the support that they need. And if that's with you, fantastic. If it's some other people that can help, yeah, I think that's wonderful. And so, royvarner.com is how they can book in with you and get their consultation. The almost like doctor's office visit, right? Like you said, so they can get some advice on what to do and where to go next.
Yeah, but I don't make them cough. I
Thank
just look at them. You
goodness.
just look at them and listen to them and say, okay, here's your path to success.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, oh, that's so great. So yeah, if you are needing any help with your visuals and the way that you're presenting yourself out there and you want to just do it with confidence, or you just want to check up and make sure that you're looking good and things are going well for you and you're not distracting people with your visuals, reach out to Roy. He is there to help us. This is what he does. And Roy, you have dropped so much great wisdom here, things that we can all take away just from listening to you today. So thank you for sharing that and taking the time to join.
Well, thank you for the invitation. And I want to tell other folks to stick with you because you're a smart cookie and you're going to have a terrific podcasting series. And they should be a part of it. And they should send their friends to it and give you referrals as well.
Oh, thank you, Roy. Thank you so much. And this is one of the things I love about this community is people helping one another. Like, and just, yeah. So, oh, I know this amazing guy named Roy. You need some help with your podcast. Check him out. And, it's just the connection is so wonderful. So I appreciate that so much. And I'll be sending people to you too. But thank you, Roy. And I hope we could talk again soon.
You bet.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you know someone who's building a business or showing up on camera, send this episode to them. It could make a huge difference. To connect with Roy or book a free session, head to royvarner.com. The link is in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Now go get them.